this Point Beyond webinar, Revolutionise Your Processes with Automatic Document Generation and Digital Signatures. Before we start, just a couple of housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded and we will be sending out a link to the recording to everyone who's registered afterwards. Also on the right hand side of your screen you'll see a questions panel. Please do feel free to post any questions that you have, and we will spend some time answering those questions at the end. Just like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Ian Woodgate. I'm the Managing Director at Point Beyond. I've been working with SharePoint for over a decade now. My background is in financial services, although these days myself and Point Beyond work with a wide variety of industries, helping people to get the most from SharePoint and helping them to deliver business solutions that add the most value to their organisation. Our agenda for today is really as follows. I'm going to talk briefly about document-based processes and some of the problems that people typically encounter with document-based processes, and hopefully there'll be a few familiar sounding scenarios within that discussion. Then we're going to briefly introduce document generation and talk about that and what it means. Do the same for digital signatures. We've then got a demo which will take you through that demonstrates both document generation and digital signature solutions. And we'll have a quick wrap up before taking questions and answers at the end. So let's kick off by talking a little bit about document-based processes. So within all organisations we have processes that involve generating, creating, signing off, approving, working with documents. And if you just think about an organisation, there are loads of processes which are kind of document-centric, and I've listed just a few of them here. We could have a sales team working on sales proposals. We could have contracts being sent out by a legal department. We could have an HR department preparing offer letters and contracts for employees and potential employees. We might be preparing some kind of financial reports, customer presentations, and so forth and so on. And what we see when we go into organisations to talk to them about these processes, we see kind of the same patterns emerging time and time again. We find that very often document generation and document processing is very manual, it's very time consuming, it can be an inaccurate process for a number of reasons. We see people reinventing the wheel every single time they need to do a new document. We see documents being created by cutting and pasting manually other documents together. We see people, next time you need to write a new document, what do? You go and you find the one you did last week, you spend 10 minutes going through it, stripping out all the section headings and replacing them with something else. We see, for another example would be, perhaps there's 5 people in the sales team, all of whom are preparing proposals, and they all have slightly different templates and slightly different versions that they work off, so they have inconsistency between those different versions. And then when it comes to approving documents and getting them signed off, we see a very large number of people who will take a document that needs to be signed off, they will physically print it, scan it, sign it using ink, and then scan it back into the system so that they can email it. So very common to see these kind of slow and inefficient processes. So how can we improve them? And the two areas that I've mentioned we're going to look at today is document generation and digital signatures. So what we're going to do next is talk a little bit about document generation. So what do we actually mean by document generation? Well, document generation is all about creating documents automatically by following business rules that are embedded within a template, and also by importing data from other sources, other line of business systems, and then applying the logic, applying that data to the template to automatically create a new document. And the tool that we're demonstrating to do this today is Chorus Doc Generation for SharePoint. So a couple of things to note on this. Firstly, the data can come from a wide variety of different sources. It could come from SharePoint, but it could also come from other systems that you may or may not have. the other thing to note is that we can pull in documents, we can actually pull other documents into our documents as well, and we'll be seeing that, an example of that, when we come to the demo later on. So it's a very efficient way to rapidly create documents in a much more structured way. We're going to talk a little bit more about Chorus doc generation now and some of the features that it provides. So it's a product that we've been working with for a while that we really like. It allows you to generate documents automatically from templates, and those templates can be in either Word or PowerPoint. The way it works is very simple, and again I will show you this. You can add data tags and content placeholders into your template. Then when you generate the document, those are substituted for the real values. We can create business rules using kind of if-then statements, and the example we'll be showing in the demo today is depending on the type of document that we're generating, we can pull in different blocks of content from other documents. The other thing to realize is it's not just limited to pulling in text and data. We can also import things like images, diagrams, tables, and as I've already mentioned, even entire documents into our template. And we can pull data from virtually any enterprise system into our document. What I'd like to do now is just quickly recap the benefits of using a document generation solution. And I think that really falls into kind of 4 core areas. The first one is that it's simply much quicker. If we can just fill out a form and have a document automatically created off the back of that, that saves a lot of time compared to the kind of manual cut and paste or rehack of an old document that we discussed previously. Secondly, because we're creating our documents in a more logical and structured way and using a template, it ensures that our documents are more accurate, they're higher quality, and they're more consistent with what we want to be saying and including in our documents as a business. This in turn really can actually aid compliance with regulations. So, for example, if you've got, for a certain type of document, you have to also always include a particular legal term or particular piece of text, you can ensure by building that rule into your template that requirement is going to be met. And lastly, and I touched on this briefly as well earlier, because we're storing the document within a template within our document generation system, we've only got one copy of the template. So if we want to update it, we can just update it in one place, and that's very easy to do. We no longer have the problem of our 5 different salespeople working with 5 slightly different versions of the template, and the challenges of getting them all to work from one consistent template. Okay, so that's a quick summary of what we mean by document generation and the Chorus doc generation solution that we're looking at today. What I want to do in turn now is go and take a quick look at digital signatures. So, what are digital signatures? What does it actually mean when we say we're going to sign a document digitally? And I think it's very important to realize here that a digital signature is much more than actually putting an image of somebody's written signature on a document. A digital signature is actually an advanced, secure electronic signature that's based on public key infrastructure or PKI technology, and it provides the highest levels of security and universal acceptance. What actually happens when you digitally sign a document is that you create a fingerprint that's unique both to the signer of the document and to the document's content itself. So that content in that document, it can't be forged, it can't be tampered with. So the process of digitally signing a document provides proof of your signer identity, the data integrity, and also non-repudiation of signed documents. And with a proper digital signature, such as the co-sign solution that we're demonstrating today, that can all be verified without the need for any proprietary software. You can do it all within, for example, Adobe Acrobat Reader. The solution that we're looking at today for digital signatures is co-sign from ARX, and in particular something called co-sign Connect. The digital signatures from co-sign, they support and comply with EU regulations on digital signatures, and as well as numerous other regulations. So they're legally enforceable and recognised as accepted format for signing documents. Okay, So that's what a digital signature is. I want to look now briefly at the reasons why we might want to deploy digital signatures within our organisation, if I can say it, that is. So, what does it allow us to do? It allows us to digitally sign our documents in seconds on multiple devices, tablets, phones, as well as PCs. What we're not having to do anymore is take a document that we've received an email, print it out, sign it, scan it back in. As I've already mentioned, these signatures are secure and they're legally enforceable. And we can do our digital signatures within Office, within PDFs, and a range of other document formats as well. Optionally, and people normally choose to do this, we can actually include a representation of our real signature along with our digital signature. Although interestingly enough, that's not actually technically the most important aspect of a digital signature. People like to see a physical signature, and so the software supports that. Another aspect of digital signatures is that we can incorporate them into our business processes with workflow, and we'll be showing an example of that today in the demo. So we can take a process where somebody needs to sign a document, they can automatically receive an email, click a link, see the document and sign it. So much easier than the old email, print, sign, scan back in approach and tracking everything in an Excel spreadsheet or physically keeping paper. The last thing that's worth mentioning is that one of the things I really like about digital signature solutions is that there's a really tangible ROI. We actually at Point Beyond have built a cost calculator which you can see by clicking on the link, and we will be sending these slides out after the show. So if you want to check that out, you can go and see for yourself how much you might be able to save with a digital signature. I want to talk a little bit more about ROI and just quickly present some facts and figures that were collected by AIIM last year. So AIIM sampled a large number of companies that had deployed digital signature solutions, and the figures really here speak for themselves. 68% said that they saved scanning, copying and routing time, 65% sped up their approval process times, 53% saved costs associated with handling paper, and over 80% reached a return on investment in their investment in digital signatures in less than 12 months. So it's almost like a no-brainer technology. If you're printing and manually signing a lot of documents, then digital signature solutions is almost certainly going to work for yourself. I'm going to talk now in a little bit more detail about the particular solution that we're going to be demoing today. And it's a solution from ARX called CoSign Click. And ARX offer a broad range of digital signature solutions. We've chosen to use CoSign Click today. What it is it's a solution for doing one-time signatures for external parties. So as you'll see in the demo, the scenario that we've got is somebody internal to an organisation working in HR, preparing an HR letter, job offer letter for an external candidate to approve and sign. That's exactly the kind of scenario where CoSign Click works well. But equally, it could be somebody in a procurement team or a legal team sending out a contract that needs to be signed by an external party. Anything where you've got a document being created and needing to get a signature from somebody external. The way it works is that we identify our user by sending an SMS text to their mobile phone and an email. And then when they come to sign it, they can sign the document very easily, and I'll demo that in a second. And also we can integrate that whole process, that signing process, with our existing applications using APIs, and we've also made use of an in-text workflow to push documents out to CoSign Click as well. And again, we'll be showing that in the demo later. Last thing that's worth mentioning, that everything is tracked with a built-in audit log, so you get a full record of who's done what and when. So that's really enough slides now. I want to move on to the demo. And as I've already mentioned, the demo that we're going to show today is that of a job offer letter being generated automatically. So we're using Chorus Doc generation to automatically create a job offer letter for a candidate. We're going to send that document for signature using CoSign Click. So let's go ahead now, and I'll switch over to the demo and we can show how this works. Okay, so I've got a simple SharePoint list, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill out a form, which is a form for entering details of new employees. And note, for the purposes of the demo, I'm using a SharePoint list as my source of new employees, but I could be pulling that data from any other line of business system I wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go to my SharePoint list. I'm going to click to add a new item. And we're going to fill out our form. So I'll assign an employee ID, title, first name, surname. So choose myself. An address. And now I'm going to select my employment type, and this is important because our document generation template that's going to create the offer letter is going to actually pull in different content into the letter depending on whether I select this is a permanent or a contract position. So I choose permanent, choose a start date, let's say next Monday. I'll enter my email address. And my phone number. Okay, so when I save this into my SharePoint list, what's going to happen is the document generation workflow is going to start. It's going to take that data and automatically generate my offer letter for me. We'll see that being shown in this contract column here. So let me just refresh. We'll be able to see the status. You can see it's in progress. I'll just wait a few more seconds. We did actually have a server reboot this morning due to Windows updates, so it's the first time this hit, so it may take a few seconds. There we go, it's completed. So that's now created my document. If I go to my document library here, called Employment Contracts, we can see that we've just newly created a Word document called Contract Ian Woodgate. Now, I'll open that document, we can take a look at it. We can see Word document, Word document here. It's just taking a while to jump around. There we go. Word document here. I opened it in Word, as you can see. Okay. You can see it's pulled in my name, it's pulled in my address, it's pulled in the date, it's pulled in my name, it's pulled in the position, the start date, and also this block of text, which is it's flagged as being the permanent text that I discussed earlier. We've got two signatures sections at the bottom. We've got a signature section for Sonia, who's the internal HR director, and we have a workflow that will route this document to Sonia for approval and signing. And then below that, we've got a very simplified offer acceptance for the candidate to sign, saying I would like to accept the above offer. Obviously that will be coming to myself. So whilst we speak, this workflow has been routed to Sonia, who's sitting in the background here to do the approval of the letter. When that's done, the workflow is going to upload the document to co-sign click so that I will be able to sign it. So what we'll do now is I shall now switch over to being the candidate, the external candidate, and to make things more interesting, I'm going to be out and about on my iPhone. So let me switch that over now and show you what I shall see. Okay, just bear with me. I'll just get the software to start that will show my machine. Here we go. It just timed out. I just need to reset it. Okay, so here's my here's a view of my iPhone, and I go and check my emails, and I see I've got a new email here. This email template is fully customizable, so we can put in the text that we want. For the purposes of this demo, we've kept it fairly simple. But you can see I've got an email saying a document has been sent for review and sign up, gives you the name, and I've got a link to review and sign it. So I just go ahead and click on that link now, again on my iPhone, and it's asking me now for an SMS code. And that's come through, 796826. You can see that at the top there. So let's type that in. 796826. So those two pieces of information, my email address and my mobile phone number, are used to verify who I am. I should now be able to log in. And we can see the document's loaded. I can just turn my phone sideways to make it a bit easier to read. Hopefully you can see there's the letter. I can zoom in if I want to make it easier to read if I need to. I can see it's been signed by Sonia. And when I get to the bottom, I can go on to my second page, which is my signature page. And you can see there's the section for me to sign to say that I accept. So again, I'm doing this all on my iPhone. Obviously it would work equally well on a PC or an iPad or other kind of device. So let's say I'm happy with that and I want to accept. What I can do now is I can go ahead and click the sign button. Now, for this particular demo, what we've done is we've chosen to just have it automatically generate my signature. So it's creating a representation of my signature for me. There are other solutions from Cosign that would also allow me to capture actually my precise inked signature if I wanted to. But for this demo, we just wanted to keep things really simple. So we get our signature there. I get the option to apply. You can see there it's gone ahead now and it's signed the document. And that's done. I can go down to the bottom here and say that I'm done. And it tells me the document has been successfully signed, gives me the options to download a local copy or to view. So that's great. So our external candidate that's received a job offer has now accepted the job offer and signed the document. Our workflow now pulls that back into our internal system and into SharePoint. So if I just flip back to SharePoint, what you'll see here is let's turn back on my SharePoint site, we've got a document library here called Signed Contracts. We'll just go ahead and click on that, and you can see the contract is now here. If I want to open that to check that everything's okay, just do that. And now you can see the original offer letter. I scroll down to the bottom. It's been signed by Sonia, and it's been, oops, get that out of the way. And it's been signed by me as the person wanting to accept the offer. So really nice automated process. Compare that to the time of creating letters, physically signing them, sending them in the post, waiting for them to come back and so forth and so on. We can save days and days of time, not to mention administration and overhead with this kind of process. One thing I want to show before we complete the demo though is I'd like to just explain to you a little bit more about how the template document is put together that generates the letter initially. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. I've got the template actually opened here. I'll just show you how I got to that. The template is associated with our employee's letter here. If I go and click on list, you can see here I've got options to manage my template here, template settings, bulk merge settings. So I go into here, template settings, and it's from there I can open my Word document. And to create these, it really is quite simple. We have an extra add-in here, which allows me to put content into my document. If I click here to data tags, you can see we've got our data sources. Now I've just hooked it up to one data source, which was that SharePoint list, but obviously in reality we can hook that into whatever data source we like, and we simply apply these tags and drop them into our document here. So there's address, there's first name, there's surname, so forth and so on, job title, etc., etc. I mentioned earlier that we could pull different text in to the central section depending on whether the person was a contractor or a permanent, and that's shown here. That's this business rule here. Let me just show how that works by clicking on here, clicking on business rules, and you can just see the two scenarios here. If a contract, then do this. If a permanent, then do this. So really quick and easy to create the documents that you need to have. Okay, just going to flick back to the slides now and we'll wrap up. So I hope you found that demo useful. Obviously it's an example showing HR, but the process applies to any broad range of requirements where you've got to create some kind of document automatically, send it externally for signature. What do I like about these kind of solutions is that they're no-code solutions like this, like document generation, like digital signatures. They dramatically improve document-based processes to make them far quicker than they are when you're doing these kind of things manually. The real power, I think, is when you combine them with workflow, so you can fully automate your processes, as we've seen in the simple demo that I've given today. And lastly, the ROI is great, it's tangible, it's fairly easy to work out your likely ROI. These things lead to considerable time savings, and they allow us to do things more accurately and more quickly and with fewer errors. So that really concludes the session today. It's been a fairly short session, but I hope you found it useful. If you're interested in finding a little bit more out about these technologies and would like a trial, please do contact myself. My details are on the screen above, or any of my colleagues. We're very happy to arrange a demo to talk to you in more detail about your requirements and to set you up with a trial. So hopefully you've enjoyed this session, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. I'm now going to answer any questions that we may have, and I see a few have been posted. Okay, so our first question is how easy is it to input your own signature rather than just have the system auto-generate? So the solution that we looked at today, the CoSign Connect, that solution in particular is designed to be very easy to use for external signers, and so that will auto-generate your signature. There are a range of solutions that will enable you to auto-generate your signature should you wish to do so. So it's very easy to do it, certainly something that we have demoed in the past and we could do again. Yeah, I mean it can be quite cumbersome to generate your own signature. Okay, I think we have another question. Yeah, how would you input your own? So the question is, how actually would you input your own signature? So often it's quite cumbersome. Yes, so you're right, it can be quite cumbersome. For example, if you've got, so one approach is if you've got to actually scan your signature and then upload it, which obviously gives you a very high fidelity signature, but it's quite a lot of hassle. Although one thing I do like about the CoSign signing solution is you do that once and it will then store your signature so that you can use it as many times as you like subsequently. Other options is, for example, to be able to take an iPad or some kind of touch screen and to physically write your signature. But then again, unless you've got a stylus, if you actually try writing your signature with your finger on an iPad, it doesn't actually always look particularly good. Next question is, what kind of costs are we looking at for the document generation? That really depends on what it is you're trying to do and how many users you've got and so forth and so on. So I don't really want to get into talking about prices today because I'll make some assumptions and some generalizations that could turn out to be incorrect. So I'm happy to take that offline with you if you'd like to give me a shout after this session. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, so I think we shall wrap up now for the day. So I would just like to say to everyone, thank you very much again for attending. I hope you found this useful. Do contact us if you'd like any more information or a free trial. Thanks all for your time today.